Okay, Andrew.
Hello, yes, indeed, yes.
I had to start the webinar for some reason or other, for technical reasons. So we've got 5 people in at the moment, so they can hear everything.
Okay, well, we're waiting then for another, what, about 20 then?
Yeah, well, we're waiting for our speaker, so.
And our speaker, yeah. Okay.
I'll just make sure I've got his content okay. Yeah. That's showing okay, isn't it? You could see that, could you, Andrew?
That all looks fine. I went through it just now, so it looks fine.
The only problem is I'm using an iPad. Is he coming yet?
No, I'm
no.
just trying to see what time he said he'd be in. Right, no, he doesn't say. He just sent it through this morning, but didn't say.
At least he remembered.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second of our autumnal webinars. We're hoping to have Stuart Young with us from BEIS any moment now. His presentation has arrived in advance, so that's the good news. We know he's on the way, but as soon as he's here, we'll get going. Although we are still 2 or 3 minutes ahead of schedule, so we're expecting about a couple of dozen people this afternoon. So we'll just give it a little bit more time for Stuart and those two to arrive. Yeah. Yeah, and the numbers coming in all the time now, Howard.
Yes, but the one we want has not arrived yet.
I know. Shall I give him a quick nudge?
Yeah.
I've sent him an email. I'll do a phone call as well, just in case. Belt and braces.
For those of you joining us, if you'd like to use the chat menu, you could let us know where you're from, and that would give an idea to other people in the room.
Hello, Stuart.
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good, thank you.
Good. You're what we call just in time.
Yeah, he's here.
So I was starting off another meeting. It's been one of those days. So I've been jumping.
I've had one of those mornings already. I was 9 till 11:30 with CIC on the building safety bill, and I've just been with Build UK for the last hour, which I had to duck out of.
Tuesdays always seems to be a bit of a crazy day. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
This afternoon. Yeah, no peace for the wicked, eh, Stuart? Yeah, well, everyone leaves Mondays alone, don't they? And then crams it all in. So the numbers are growing. We are expecting about a couple of dozen, Stuart, so it should be a useful session.
Right.
We're just on 12:30 now, so can we give it another minute or two? Would you be okay with that, Howard and Stuart?
Yeah, no problem. Stuart, hi, it's Howard here.
Hi, Howard.
I've got your slides. I can show them, or do you want to show them yourself by screen share? I've opened screen share up for you, so
I'm happy for you to do it, and I can just then focus on making sure I get the messages across and the kind of the key.
Fine, no problem.
TRS. I'm going to assume, Andrew, that most people in this call know very little about TORES, so I'll kind of take them through the sort of the standard
I
presentation.
think it's probably a good idea to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And then people can analyse what's in it for them, so to speak, which is how we've promoted it.
Yeah.
The people on the call come from across the country and from a range of positions and Stuart, in terms of whom we're addressing.
Right.
Andrew,
I think what we'll do,
Andrew, you've got a bit of a feed problem at your end. You're breaking up a bit. Yeah. Have you?
Okay.
Yeah. You've got a lot going on the internet at the moment at your end, Wi-Fi wise?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge, no. Well, it does actually. I've just had a note come up saying, yeah. Well, Howard, let me hand over the introductions to you then, and I'll just sit and listen.
Well, no, that's fine. You're okay at the moment. You're okay. It seems to come back in. So.
All right. Okay. Well, I was just going to say good afternoon to everybody officially, and welcome to the second in our autumnal webinars. As you know, we ran a series of webinars from March to July, which were attended by about 2,000 people all told. So we were, we thought they were well received, and we thought we would continue through the autumn. We started last Friday. We had a presentation on social value, today I'm delighted to welcome Stuart from BEIS here to talk about the talent retention scheme. So welcome, Stuart.
Thank you,
very much for your time. Thank you to you, Howard, and your colleague John once again for hosting us. This is brought to you by Constructing Excellence in the Southwest, the Midlands, the Wales and the Northeast, together with the Structural Timber Association. So 5 organisations really coming together to provide this knowledge transfer webinar. But without further ado, Howard, would you like to just go through the house rules, and then we'll hand over to Stuart to get the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Yes, simple house rules. Please use the chat pane to let us know where you're from, and that will let other people in the webinar also know where you're from. And indeed, for questions, which I'm sure you'll have for Stuart, please use the Q&A menu rather than the chat pane, as it keeps it all in one place. So type your question in. If you'd like to own it, which most people do, please make sure you put your name in. But if you don't want to own it, you can go anonymous, but it makes it better. And what I can try and do is if we can bring people in so that we can actually open a discussion as well. So that will be with raised hands, but don't raise them at the moment. We'll ask at the right time. So I'm now going to hand over to Stuart. Just let me know when you want me to put up your presentation. Okay, Stuart, over to you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. So if you could just put up the presentation now, please. So just while the presentation is getting loaded, just to give you some introduction to myself. So I'm Stuart Young, and I am Head of Stakeholder Engagement and Management at the BEIS Construction Unit. And for the purposes of this conversation today, I'm also the policy lead for the Construction Talent Retention Scheme, have been working particularly closely with Hannah Vickers at the Association of Consultants and Engineering to kind of take forward and develop and implement the scheme on an ongoing basis. So I'm very happy to be here today and talking to you, and hopefully this is of use to you. So if we just move on to the next slide, please. So this just kind of sets in context where the TRS sits. So the CLC has got a series of work streams, one of which is around people and skills, which is chaired by Mark Reynolds at MACE. And underneath that sits a skills working group, which is chaired by Sarah Beale, CEO of CITB. So as you can see from the slide, within the skills kind of plan, there's a number of sub-working groups, one of which is the talent retention scheme. So we just move on to the next slide, please. So I'm just going to talk you through a bit more now about kind of what the talent retention scheme is about, how it came about and how it actually works. So I'm just going to talk off 2 laptops here. So the talent retention scheme, the Chancellor made an announcement back in July around the economic support that government would be providing as part of the COVID support, and the talent retention scheme was publicly announced within that announcement. And BEIS is providing just over £1 million of funding to support the programme, and is now its sponsor and will be staying engaged and continues to do so on a daily basis, primarily through myself. And ministers also continue to show interest in the programme. So how did this come about? So basically it came about through the Construction Leadership Council Task Force, which is a group of around 20 CEOs from the key trade associations in the sector. And basically that kind of group had recommended that a construction talent retention scheme was to be established to retain and redeploy staff at risk of redundancy across the sector in a centrally coordinated approach. So the CLC had done a survey which noted around 690,000 jobs were at risk in the sector by the end of the calendar year. So we've obviously already seen that unfortunately start to materialise through various redundancy announcements, and very aware that the numbers are going to rise quite considerably due to furlough obviously coming to an end at the end of next month. We also know that during the last recession, over 500,000 left the industry. So before this come along, we had a mass skill shortage, and that will continue to become more acute as a result of the effects of COVID. And obviously, as we go into the EU transition and leave the EU as of the 1st of January next year. So there is a big problem there. So this scheme helps to stop that. So two things really. The scheme is going to facilitate talent matching and employee loans on a temporary basis between businesses. And secondly, it's going to support redeployment of staff at risk of redundancies across adjacent sectors where there are overlapping competencies. So for example, aviation, manufacturing, engineering, and so on and so forth. It is kind of part of the broader government narrative in terms of kind of providing support to local communities, protecting skills and jobs. We are very aware that construction is primarily made up of SMEs, around 90%, and has a strong kind of contribution to the local economy, and nationally obviously contributes just under 8% of GDP. In terms of kind of use, the scheme is free to use for everyone. So whether you are white collar, blue collar, large company, small company, free to use for everyone up to and including the end of this current financial year. Post that into the new 21-22 financial year, it will continue to be free to use for SMEs. And we are currently looking at the funding model for that going forwards. But the key message at present is that it's free to use for everyone from now until March, when we really need to kind of encourage people to use that. And it is a couple of the questions I've been asked in other groups is types of vacancies. It's all vacancies right across the sector. And it's also open to those apprentices who have been made redundant and apprentices who are about to be made redundant. So in terms of how the scheme works, the portal works, there is an employer side and an employee side. So from the employer side, companies will need to complete a light touch registration process. And then we are kind of filtering out and not allowing any recruitment agencies. And once those companies have got access to the portal, they will then be able to upload their vacancies, and we'll be able to kind of take a look at which individuals have applied, which have expressed an interest, and which might be most suitable for their roles. And we've already got well over 600 companies now registered on the website. In terms of individuals, once an individual need to create a profile on the portal, they can upload their CV and fill out details such as their skill base, what part of the country they want to work in, and what their kind of area of work is. And we've already got around 700 individuals sign up to the portal and just over 700 jobs on the portal, and that is growing on a daily basis. So if we just move on to the next slide, please. So this just kind of provides, this is a list of the organisations on the Construction Leadership Council Task Force. Happy that these slides will be made available after the session, but this each of these organisations on here are working with their membership. So where those members are making redundancies, they are being encouraged and supported to use the talent retention scheme to provide their employees with support as part of a broader support package. If we just go on to the next slide, please. So this is just kind of references the timeline I've already talked about. So the Chancellor announced the scheme on the 8th of July. The 24th of July, Nadeem Zahawi, the BEIS Construction Minister, formally launched the programme. And the 28th of July, we had a session with businesses around kind of how to use the portal and how to access it and work around the system. Both those calls attracted around 150. And having been taken through a run through the portal, and I'm not an IT expert by any stretch, it's a very easy to use and quite easy site to navigate around and utilise. And there's a lot of ongoing promotional activity, which I'll come on to in a minute. So if we just go on to the next slide, please. So what we've now established and agreed a membership for a talent retention steering group that is chaired by Sarah Bill at CITB, who I mentioned earlier, and deputy chaired by myself. And that is kind of shaping the scheme's future development as we start thinking now about kind of wider reach and penetration in the industry, getting this into the mindset of all those in the sector who are going to be making redundancies as we kind of come to the conclusion of furlough, and just really getting this on the kind of the mindsets of everyone in the industry. And obviously various people are involved with that steering group. There is a lot of ongoing engagement with key government departments, which I have and continue to lead on. So with departments such as DFE, DWP, DFT, IPA, Treasury, Number 10. In particular, a lot of engagement with DWP in terms of reaching out to their rapid response teams and job centres, and also had engagement as well with growth hubs and local enterprise partnerships, which has been very successful. If we just move on to the next slide, please. So we're also developing a medium-term comms approach, which includes kind of more broader industry engagement, reaching out to schools and sort of positioning the scheme as part of a broader offer to young people who are looking to get into the construction industry, and this portal providing them with an opportunity to kind of sort of visualise and see, have kind of visual sight of the vacancies that are currently available. We are also continuing to grow the scheme with targeted comms at specific companies. So, for example, there are a number of companies at the moment who we know through the insolvency service are making redundancies. So we are talking to them on a one-to-one basis about how we can help them and work with them through the TRS. And also other companies which you'll probably be more aware of on a public basis, who have already been quite public in terms of redundancies they may or may not be making, or maybe in the process of making. We are having, mainly through myself, but we are having one-to-one conversations with them so rather than getting some, as they've already made the redundancies, getting to them a little bit early on in the pathway and just kind of helping them in that process. And that has been broadly welcomed as well. So can we just move on to the next slide, please? So this is a set of what we've called early adopters of the programme. So at the time the programme was launched, each of the companies on here are very grateful for their support, agreed to support the programme. What that meant in practice was they uploaded their vacancies onto the portal, and they were provided with one-to-one intensive support on accessing that portal and kind of helping uploading the vacancies onto the portal. Just move on to the next slide, please. So that really kind of concludes the sort of my formal presentation. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the TRS. What I would say is, in terms of my ask today, is it's the scheme is growing, but ultimately the scheme will stand or fall on how far we can get this out into and penetrating industry. Ministers from the PM down, very keen on construction and the role of construction as part of economic recovery. So there's a strong political interest here in the programme. The department has put 1 million funding into it. We are looking at the kind of the funding model going forwards, but ultimately for this to work and for the scheme to grow, we really need your support and engagement to really get this to work at the front line for those, unfortunately, those affected individuals who have lost their jobs. I think that's probably enough for me. Happy to take any questions, comments, and any offline conversations.
Okay, Stuart, thank you for that. I'd like to start the ball rolling. While I'm speaking, I would ask that anyone in the audience, please post your questions in the Q&A box or the chat box at the bottom. But I'd like to start the ball rolling, Stuart, if I may. We had a Constructing Excellence Southwest board meeting last night, and we reported that the construction industry is probably faring better than many other sectors in the UK currently, and that maybe we should, take advantage of that fact by promoting the opportunities to those from outside the sector. In fact, one of our board members, who I know is listening, Paul Richards, was saying that he's actually currently looking for a designer. Mm-hmm. And so the opportunities in construction are probably great at the moment. We have, as you know, within Constructing Excellence, a network of regions. In the Southwest, for example, we have 9 clubs. In the Midlands, we have 6 clubs, and so on. So we've got a network of local best practice groups who could communicate what you've just been talking mm-hmm. about. My question is a very long-winded way of saying, what collateral is going to be available to help us do that?
So there's already a couple of flyers in existence, which hopefully you may have seen. Apologies if you haven't done, around kind of what the TRS scheme offer is to both individuals and to businesses. So those 2 flyers are already available. We're also looking at kind of a broader suite of comms products that are being worked on at present. So very much welcome kind of promoting that to your kind of partners and regions. But in terms of what we've immediately got right now, those 2 flyers have been quite popular and kind of set out the schemes offered to both those kind of groups. And certainly would very much welcome you kind of support and engagement in doing that. Be very much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we've got a network of 8 regions and 40 clubs across the UK. So I suppose CE is an ideal platform to help you.
Most definitely.
And I know it was Alison that recommended you come and give us this presentation. Mm-hmm. So I know you're locked in to CE Central, so to speak, but yep. You've got on the call other regional directors. I know Katrina, my colleague from the Northeast, is on the call, for example. So there's a real opportunity there. So that's good.
I was just saying, in terms of Alison, I think is it Alison Nichol?
Alison Nichol is our national lead on CE. Yeah.
Yep. So if Alison hasn't got it already, I will send Alison the 2 flyers, which are the main comms products, and I will check in with our comms people on the team and just check when we're likely to be able to share the next kind of set of products. And then I'll let Alison know that. Then she can obviously then kind of push around all the regional directors. But what I would say is that having had a similar conversation with all the mayoral combined authorities, and a few of them are now looking at kind of taking it forward locally. So, for example, Tees Valley are very interested in the programme. So if there are any kind of regional directors on the call this morning that kind of really welcome a one-to-one conversation with myself in terms of making this work for your region, I'm very happy to do that. Again, with yourself, Andrew, offline, very happy to do that.
Okay, fine. Okay. Thank you for that. Now then, let me have a look. I've got no questions at the moment on my little box, Stuart, and nothing in chat. Howard, can you see anything, or is it my eyesight?
No, nothing at all. Do you want to do a raise of hands, see if anyone wants to ask a question, come on live, and I'll just put them there? No problem.
Yeah, that would be good. So if anyone is watching, listening, I've got Paul with his hand up. Could Paul, would you like to come on to camera? Paul Richards has made a comment. Paul is a fellow board member from CE Southwest.
Yep.
And in fact, it was he that was telling us that he has, in fact, it's gone up from 1 to 2 vacancies now. So things have improved even. Paulie, have you got your camera on, or are we just viewing your holiday shots?
Nice holiday shot. Very picturesque.
You're muted at the moment, Paul, by the way.
Hang on. I'm just trying to get my screen up for you.
Is that the view from Clevedon Pier?
That is Clevedon Pier. That is
very nice.
Start video. There we go. Here I am.
Looks like new headquarters look.
Aquarium
Paul,
Towers.
you and I had a chat last night in the board meeting, didn't we, about this? Or yeah, do you want to just sort of talk to us about what your views are on this retention scheme and job opportunities and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Stuart. If I'm honest, it was something I hadn't paid a tremendous amount of attention to. I've seen it crop up through CLC, but I haven't paid a tremendous amount of attention to it. And we've been talking internally about the opportunities for us as a business of exploring, what is clearly bad news for some people in terms of finding themselves out of work. Potentially could be good news for us. We've taken the opinion as a business where we're looking to invest in HR, we're looking to invest in marketing, rather than retreat and retract and sort of hide until it all blows over. And so for me, I think it's an excellent opportunity. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to recirculate those that are in the industry at the moment, but perhaps more importantly, to encourage people from outside of our industry, aeronautical engineering. We know they've really struggled, particularly to get them to come into our industry. Every recession, we tend to lose people. Maybe we can use this as an opportunity to gain from other industries and other sectors and really benefit.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the scheme's offer, very much so, Paul, and very much definitely agree with you. We are looking to do that. So, I mean, I've had a number of conversations with DFT colleagues in the aviation space about kind of supporting this program, and they are looking at putting some money into their own kind of setting up a talent retention program for aviation. But in terms of kind of sort of bringing people across who have already lost their jobs, very much so. So, just to give you an example, I'm actually talking to Gatwick Airport at present. Obviously, they've made a lot of redundancies recently, and I'm also talking to Heathrow as well about kind of how we can bring sort of people who've got sort of relevant skills, like engineers and so on and so forth, into the construction space, to really kind of make this work. Because very much completely recognise and appreciate this isn't just about redeploying people within the sector; it's also about bringing people in from outside the sector. And we're very much kind of doing that. So if there is kind of if there's kind of to ideas, groups you think we need to be engaging with, conversations you want me to join in with you and have, I'm very happy to do that. To be honest, I really want to make this work for people. So people who are losing a job get a job. There are about 700 jobs on this portal at the moment, of all different levels, kind of different parts of the thing. So the more that I can do to get this out and really help people, I'm very committed to doing that. So I'm very happy to work with you and colleagues on that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'd see it as a supplier of cladding, to get people involved from the aeronautical engineering and those industries. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to learn from other industries. And so yeah, I see it as a positive and certainly something we'd like to explore and support.
Great, thank you. The other thing I would just add as well is I'm also having conversations with Serco at the moment. So they have got funding, I think it's for the Education Skills Agency until 2022 or 23. And we're looking, it's very early stages at the moment, but we're looking into the kind of scope for them to sort of provide some free training to people who are kind of crossing sectors, to provide that free relevant training. But that's in early stages. But yeah, perhaps I should email you. Perhaps we have an offline conversation.
That'd be great, Stuart. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd like to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I wonder if we could bring Gerald Crittall on board, Howard.
Yep.
I think Gerard's got some comments to make about the Gloucestershire Construction Training.
Should be there in a minute, hopefully.
Okay. And also, I don't know whether you're prepared, Katrina, but would you mind coming on to give us a northeast perspective? That would be helpful. Gerald, you're very welcome. Perhaps you'd like to talk to us about the training groups that you run and how they might benefit. Thank you, Gerald.
Yeah. So we get
Put your camera on if you like, Gerald.
Yeah, here I am. Yeah, there's 90 plus CITB construction training groups around the country, and they're a really good conduit to get information out. So if I have the PDFs, I can get them out to the members in Gloucestershire, and I can also share it with the training managers from the other training groups in the southwest. There's one in Bristol and Bath and Somerset and Devon and Cornwall, Hampshire, Isle of Wight, so right across the region. So yeah, if you have the PDFs, the training groups are a really good conduit to get things out to members. And it sounds a really interesting scheme. And I don't think it's that well known. So
Yeah,
if that helps.
that's very helpful. Thank you. You wouldn't believe the amount of presentations I've done on this to date. So the more that we can make kind of local partners and people aware, this would be very helpful.
Okay, thanks for that, Gerald. I mean, from a, I mean, you know, everyone's equal, but some are more equal than others. Let's put it that way. CE have a number of events and activities, and I know with my Midlands and Southwest hats on, I've got big conferences and summits coming up in November. I mean, who's your ministerial leads on this?
Nadeem Sahawi.
Sorry?
Nadeem Sahawi, he launched the program.
Okay, so I've sat in webinars with him during the last 6 months for various topics. Would he be able to come and give an online message, even if it was recorded? Is that something you could provide as part of the collateral?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not, Andrew. So if you want to take off, if we take offline, but no reason why we couldn't do that. I'm sure he'd be very happy to do that.
A recorded message from the minister, I think that would hold, you know, a lot of weight.
Yep, I'm sure we can sort that. That shouldn't be a problem. So I'll pick that up offline. Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've now got Katrina with us, who is my counterpart in the Northeast. Katrina, would you like to maybe say a few words?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Stuart. Stuart, you send us your updates on a regular basis. I hear from you probably at least once a day. I've got to say the information you've sent through is absolutely brilliant. And we have then forwarded on to not only our members, non-members, people in the region, but to other organisations as well. And so the word is getting out there, and the retention scheme obviously is absolutely vital, I think, for the industry, and a really superb idea. So it's something that we have highlighted not only in our daily updates on what's going on in the region, but also in our newsletter as well. So that does reach quite a number of people. But as the guys say, it's whether people read it or not read it. It's always nice to go into a meeting with a non-member and somebody say, oh, I've read this in your recent update, and they're really, really good. So as I say, Stuart, thank you for all of the updates you've given us with everything. They've been extremely well put together, very concise and very easily to pass on to various parties that we need to do. So yeah, something we really need to make sure we bang on about, because I think that retention in the sector is absolutely vital. You know, the good news from the government when it was about, you know, build and making sure that the construction industry is vibrant and kept going throughout the whole of this pandemic, and to keep the people in the actual sector is absolutely paramount. We don't want to lose people to other sectors. We want to make sure these people are valued and cared for, and given the right opportunities. So I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's something that we need to make sure that we don't just get out there to our members, but we get out to everybody in the actual sector. So well done.
Thank you very much. Just you say you got my communication, because my mailing list is rapidly expanding here. Do you get it directly from me, or is it through another?
I get it from you. I also get it from Jade as well. So sometimes I get it double, and so I have to work out whether it's something from Jade or something from you or something from you both. So it's like that. But my colleague's quite good. I just send everything on to her, and she just works it out. What's the important stuff and the stuff that we really need to highlight. But obviously, we've highlighted the stuff that's come out. So as I say, yeah, I'm on your list. Honestly, Stuart, I am there.
Thank you. Thanks for the positive feedback.
No, it's really good, really good. And as I say, our members and our non-members really value it. So please keep it coming, because it's absolutely essential to make sure that the industry gets the information. You know, and it doesn't matter if they've got it from somebody else as well, just as long as they're getting the information.
So Stuart, you can gather from the comments you've heard from Paul and Gerald and Katrina that what you have to say is very valuable.
Thank you.
Pat makes a very valid point that actually within CE we get bombarded with good causes and events and activities that we should support. So it is difficult to see the wheat for the chaff, so to speak. But I can guarantee that this is one of the things that we are prioritising.
Thank you.
The work of the CLC during lockdown and beyond, I think, is very impressive. And it's one of the reasons I believe why the UK construction industry is so well received at the moment.
Yeah, and thank you for positive feedback. I mean, I'm on the CLC. I mean, it's meeting twice weekly at present. I think kind of going forward, it's going to. I know it's had a very kind of key role in terms of sort of the work around COVID, as the kind of the sector sort of transitions out of COVID. But equally, going forward, it's going to have sort of a key role to play in sort of the kind of the CSR and more particularly the EU transition process as we kind of move forward and getting some kind of clarity on that. So I know we're kind of veering, I know I'm veering slightly off TRS here, but the CLC, hopefully you'll cite us, but the CLC has set up an EU exit working group, and there's 4 work streams within that, so underpinning that work. So if anyone on the call is interested in that, do drop me a line, and I can see if you're we can get you onto to the group you're interested in. I think one of the groups is around access, is around movement of people. The other one's around access to, forgotten it now, but there's 4 of them. If you're interested, drop me a line and I can sort that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting on your housing group for the roadmap to recovery, because you split that into 4, haven't you?
Yes, these are groups. So the housing working group is part of the roadmap to recovery, but these groups are separate. So this is kind of a separate group that's been established purely because of the volume of work that's coming on board now because of EU exit.
Okay. Well, bear in mind with your Construction Leadership Council that CE is the obvious vehicle to deliver messages and disseminate your messages, because we've got this network of clubs and regions. Yep. I've had a question come in, Stuart, anonymously. Is there any scope within the platform for companies to highlight and share unspent apprenticeship levy?
That I don't know. So I know the apprenticeship levy is quite a sort of a topic at the moment. I think the short answer is I'll need to take that away and kind of get that checked. So if you could just drop me a quick email.
Could I ask Stuart, the anonymous person, to maybe put their contact details in the chat box? If you want to do it privately to Howard, you can do that, I think. In which case we could send that through to you, Stuart, because obviously at the moment it's an anonymous person, so we're not sure who.
I'll tell you what, why don't I, in the chat forum, I'll put my email address into the chat forum.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you.
That might help, yeah. But yeah, very happy to take that away and get that checked.
Okay.
So I'm not an expert on apprenticeships.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, we've got it now. Yeah, and Paul has said that he'd be interested in exploring the EU Brexit agenda too, please. And he's given you his email address in the
okay
box. So I think maybe a one-to-one with Paul would be useful.
Yeah, Paul, I'll drop you a line separately.
Thank you. Thanks, Stuart.
So, are there any more questions or queries? I don't seem to have any, Howard. Have I missed any?
No, not at all. Oh, there's one just flicked up now.
Flicked in.
It's
right.
Barry Errington who asked the question.
Thank you for coming clean.
Does Barry would Barry like to make any other comment? If he puts his hand up, I can bring him into the discussion. So if you want to do anything, put your hand up now, Barry, and I'll bring you in.
Yeah. If not, we'll put you in touch, Barry, with Stuart offline, maybe.
Yeah, he hasn't put it up at the moment, so.
Well, look,
Barry's one of my contacts, so.
Sorry, Kat.
So Barry's one of my contacts.
Ah, right, okay. So you're responsible then.
Yeah.
Gerald actually has put a levy link in the chat box for people's reference. So, listen, thank you very much. First of all, to Stuart for an excellent presentation. I think you'll agree from the responses that you've had. It's a very important topic, and certainly one that Constructing Excellence will take forward in the coming months. So thank you to you for your time, and thank you for what you're doing. Thank you to Howard and John for hosting this webinar. And thank you to those of you that have attended. I hope you found the last, what is it now, 35 minutes worthwhile. I'll let you get on and have some lunch now. And if you want to join us this Friday, we have a webinar with Richard Lankshire from NHBC, when we're going to be talking about quality and off-site and the combination of the two. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you all again on Friday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you all.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.